We live in an interconnected world. It's not just our phones and laptops. It's the doors of our homes, our fridges, our cars, smart meters, traffic lights. Almost everything is connected, and whatever is not connected will probably be in the upcoming years. Now, as the world of IoT evolves, there's a growing concern that not all of these devices are secure. With us this morning, Eran Fine, co-founder and CEO of NanoLock Security. Good morning, Eran.
Good morning, Eric. It's a pleasure being here.
Great to have you. Please tell us we're safe.
No, you're not. I'm sorry to disappoint you. You may feel safe, but again, it's all a question of what do you fear from. Connected devices. IoT is a fraction of the connected devices universe, but there are reasons to do so. If there's a reason to do so, people will do so eventually.
But how much damage can someone do taking over a smart meter?
Well, let's go back to why should somebody take a hold of a smart meter? There are three reasons. A state level attack, I want to harm your grid and your infrastructure. Financial reason, if we have 1 million smart meters and I can play with one parameter and lower the electricity or the water bill, that's great. And the third one, just for fun. Because if I can turn down the lights in this building or in this studio and ask you for money or just enjoy that, it's a big pleasure for some people. Not all of them, but for some people.
Sounds like great fun.
It
sounds
is.
like great fun. What's the scale of the problem? How many devices are there that can be hacked?
So everybody's speaking about the next IoT revolution, but you already had that revolution. So you have billions of devices which are connected today. For example, smart meters, already today there are about a notch about 600 million legacy smart meters which are connected and not protected. Next coming years, there will be 1.2 billion devices coming up the next 5 years. For example, there are already 25 billion connected devices today, and the revolution of IoT is speaking about 50 to 60 until 2025. So we're speaking about going from a few billions to a few tens of billions of connected devices. Connectivity can vary from connectivity to the internet, legacy networks, proprietary networks, or even somebody coming with a USB or taking data USB. So connectivity has many faces and many facets. And when you have data in, you have data out. When you have data in, corrupted data or malicious data can come in, or malicious code can come in. So the attack vectors vary from the internet as we all know it, with the accessibility, to proprietary networks, to somebody with enough motivation to do that physically. And one phenomenal example are insiders, the grow or the explosion of insiders threat, or supply chain and insiders, people with motivation to do that. So the attack vectors vary from the outsider, the classic cyber, to insiders and supply chain. So are we safe? No. Can we be safe? We can do a very honest attempt to become safer.
Mm-hmm. What are the challenges, before we go to that, what are the challenges of securing end devices in an IoT world?
The complexity and the multiple attack vectors. So it could be insider, outsider, and supply chain. So it can start 5 years or 3 years before you have the device, or it could be your employee that you trust. Number two, the variety of devices. You have powerful devices like mobile phones, laptops, and servers, and you have very simple devices that have very limited CPU computing power, like smart meters, that are what is called bare metal, that don't have an operating system. You have devices which are electricity operated, but you have billions of devices which are battery operated, and you cannot run sophisticated protection over them. That's the complexity. Number two, do you protect the device? Do you protect the network? Do you protect the conjunction between the device and the network? So originally people thought, if I protect the devices, my servers, now I need to only protect my network. But when you have billions of devices in the field that have a USB port or other ports to go in, that you can come and manipulate the device, the attack vector is not only now from the network, but it's from the device upstream and harm the infrastructure.
From a physical breach.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do? What's your answer to that?
What we believe in NanoLock that you need to do from the device up. So first of all, the first layer is protecting the device. And you got to see the entire vectors, which are outsiders, insiders, and supply chain. So if you're unauthorized, you're not allowed to do any malicious changes and manipulation into the device. Important and critical parameters, what is called the code of the device. The firmware, the boot image, the calibration, configuration, whatever the owner of the device deem important and critical. The way to do that is assuming that the device can be infringed and harmed, and the network can be broken as well. Meaning creating a root of trust between the heart of the device, which cannot be altered, and the server or the cloud of the customer. By skipping the players in the middle, assuming they are not safe and compromised, you're saying, I can make those critical modifications, which are deemed to be potentially harmful, only when they're authorized by the customer, by the trusted entity of the customer. By doing what we call the flash to cloud or silicon to cloud or embedded to cloud, we create this root of trust. Technically, there's one way in, one way out. And if you are, as we do, acting as a gatekeeper and controlling data in and data out, and only allow that to happen when you have a trusted entity signing the communication, then you say, okay, everything stored there, even if everything else falls, acts as the last stand in front of any malicious manipulation.
Mm-hmm. So if no one can touch the code of the device, how do I apply, for example, software changes or updates?
Sure. So over-the-air updates or software changes that can be done from the network or a technician coming in. So again, we allow or grant either the over-the-air update or the technician a special signature that verifies its authenticity. Mm-hmm. So when this is done, and this is part of the technology, those modifications and changes can happen. One important thing and these are attacks that happened before, one can manipulate the device and manipulate the server, meaning we make sure that all communication between those sides are signed. Because for example, somebody can send an update, there could be somebody in the middle, hijacking this update, keeping the device still vulnerable and notifying the management system that the update was properly installed. We prevent that. We make sure that every communication between the two sides is signed, verified, and authenticated, making sure both sides are up to date in what they know about each other. Mm-hmm. So that's our significant part of our technology.
So that's your secret sauce. You're also kind of disarming or disabling any attacker from hijacking the update transaction.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, he can hijack, but he cannot cheat the other side. So the other side will be notified, alarmed, and informed that this had occurred. It's impossible to prevent because it's going all over the network. Mm-hmm. But in the case that it was sent and was never delivered, both sides will be notified and informed, and we can take the proper measures. Mm-hmm. So it's prevention from any installation of malicious code, and making sure the other side will know that any trusted code in the unlikely event was not delivered to the end side.
Okay, that's reassuring. But there must be a million manufacturers and producers of end devices. How do you get to all of those and provide or offer your protection?
All right. It's a fair question because the market is fragmented and segmented. There are a lot of devices. Many of them are legacy. There are a lot of new ones. So what happened is NanoLock is very unique. We signed an agreement with almost all of the memory manufacturers to those specific industries, and our code is incorporated and embedded into their controller. So a customer for the new device can actually go to currently 90% of the memory market in the IoT universe and buy a memory which is NanoLock enabled and start working. This is for new devices. For legacy devices, we provide a very simple piece of code which can be sent to the device and make sure that it's from this point on is protected because we secure the memory with the software. What is unique is that both the software and the embedded software both speak the same protocols, quote unquote, with the management system, and it's a frictionless transition from working with the legacy systems and devices to new systems and devices.
So you're always ready for the next update?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Eran, how do you see the future of cybersecurity for IoT devices?
Layered. Got to be layers. So there's no one solution fits all. There's nothing which is, if I do this, then everybody will be protected. So it's starting from thinking about the problems, addressing them, facing them, looking at the mirror, looking at the corrupted mirror, and saying, let's do what is called build a security by design, by the hygiene of the network, hygiene of the devices, hygiene of the privileges we're giving our our workers and employees and the contractors that we work with, and eventually looking at the result. So if that will be layered and smartly built, I think we'll be more protected and more safe. That will definitely take time.
Eran, thank you so much. I think you've helped some of us sleep better tonight.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Great to have you here.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.